Let's review what you know about absolute value. Find the absolute values of 7 and negative 7.
All right, so you might want to add this to your notes because we didn't go over this. So I'll tell you what this is. Absolute value is a number's distance from 0. So these little bars, that means absolute value. So it's asking, what is the absolute value of 7? So you count how far that is from 0. So 7 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the absolute value of 7 is 7. Then for negative 7, you do the same thing. The bars mean absolute value. So what's the absolute value of negative 7? Then you count how far away from it is 0. I mean, how far away from it, how far away from 0 is it? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's also 7. So a trick for absolute value is you just look at the number that's inside the bars and you just write the number and it's always positive. So both of these are 7 because they're both 7 units away from 0.
Since 7 and negative 7 are each 7 units from 0, both have an absolute value of 7. Enter two different numbers with an absolute value of 6.
All right, Camwan, what's one number that's got an absolute value of 6? What is one number that has an absolute value of 6? Yeah, negative 6 would be one of them because negative 6 is right here and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units away from 0. Large, what's another number that's got an absolute value of 6? All right, we'll go with Marbly. Marbly, you raised your hand. So what's the... Yes, positive 6. That's correct.
Yeah.
Because positive 6 is right here. And it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units away from 0. So good job.
Enter two different numbers with an absolute value of 4.
All right, James Lee, what's a number that's got an absolute value of 4? Yes, negative 4 is one of them. Because negative 4 is right here, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4 units away from 0. And Torian, what's another number that's got an absolute value of 4? Correct. Positive 4 is right here, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4 units away from 0. So absolute value is pretty easy.
Which of these numbers has the greatest absolute value?
Marbly.
9.
All right, how come?
9.
How did you know it was negative 9?
Because when you go down, 9 is bigger than the other one.
So negative 3 is 3 units away from 0. Negative 9 is 9 units away from 0. 5 is 5 units away from 0. And 1 is 1 unit away from 0. So the one that's the farthest away is negative 9. And absolute value is always positive. James Lee, do you have a question?
Which of these numbers has the greatest absolute value?
Okay. All right, Leanna, which one of these has the greatest absolute value?
Negative 16.
All right, hold on, it's Leanna's turn. Let's see if she agrees.
Yeah, 16.
Yeah, negative 16. That's correct, because it's the furthest away from 0. It's 16 away from 0, while this one, 10 is 10 away, negative 2 is 2 away, and 4 is 4 away. So the one that's the furthest away is negative 16.
What addition expression is shown on the number line?
We'll try Petit. Petit, do you know what addition problem is shown right here? All right. We'll try Farge, since you haven't answered too many yet, and you got your hand up.
15 plus 8.
Yes, these are both arrows going to the right, so that means they're positive numbers. So we got 15, and we got 8.
That's correct, and you can also write that as 15 plus 8. Find the sum.
James Lee, what's 15 plus 8?
$23.
All right, yeah, Torian answered for you. Yes, 23.
The sum is 23 units from 0 in the positive direction. What addition expression is shown on the number line?
Camwan, what's this addition problem? Camwan, do you know this one? No. All right. Marbley, you know this one?
Can I say it?
We're gonna let Marbley try.
Okay, first you're gonna put negative 8 in the first one, then the second one is gonna be negative 15.
Yes. So if you all look on the picture, you got a negative 8 and you got a negative 15. So you're gonna add those together. I guess technically it's negative 15 first, because that one, you always start at 0, and that's the first one that happens, and the second one is negative 8. So we'll just switch it around.
That's right. And you can also write this as negative 15 plus negative 8. What is the distance between the sum and 0?
Torian, what's the distance between?
23 units.
Yes, because we went back 15 and another 8, and we ended at negative 23, and we know the absolute value of negative 23 is 23.
To find the distance, you can use the absolute values of the addends. They represent the length of each arrow. 15 plus 8 is 23, so the total distance is 23 units. What negative number is 23 units from 0?
Leanna, what negative number is 23 units from 0?
Um, is
Well, it's a negative number, so we know it has to have a negative sign.
-6. Well, that's not a 6. Well, never mind.
All right, James Lee, can you help her out? Or Farge, can you help her out?
-23.
Yeah, negative 23. Because it's negative, so that's where the negative came from, and it's 23 units from 0. So that's where the 23 came from. So negative 23.
Find -9 plus -12 by reasoning about the distance of the sum from 0. Which expression represents the distance between the sum and 0?
Camwan, do you know this one? Okay, that's all right. You can do this one. Torian, do you know this one?
9 plus 12.
9 plus 12, yes. Because we're going away from 0 on both of them. So you just add them together. But since we're going in the negative direction, your answer is going to be negative, even though you're adding the two numbers.
The absolute value of each addend is the length of its arrow. The total distance is 9 plus 12. Add the absolute values to find the distance between the sum and 0.
21.
Yeah, 21.
The distance is 21 units. What is the sum?
And Torian, what's the sum?
-21.
Correct, because we're on the left side of 0.
Find -45 plus -15 by reasoning about the distance of the sum from 0.
All right, Marbley, you're going to do
Which expression represents the distance between the sum and
you're
0?
going to do this whole page for us.
Okay. So this one is 45 plus 15.
Yep, that's correct, because we're going the same direction on both numbers, so you add them together.
The absolute value of each addend is the length of its arrow. The total distance is 45 plus 15. Add the absolute values to find the distance between the sum and 0.
16.
60.
Yep.
The distance is 60 units. What is the sum?
-16.
Yes. All right, David and Queen Africa, thanks for joining us. We're on iReady, and we are doing strategies to add and subtract integers. So like usual, we're going kind of slow, so you can probably easily catch up.
Find the sum.
Let's try Farge. Farge, you know what -52 plus -37 is?
forgot, to be honest.
All you got to do is add the two numbers together, and then the answer is negative. So it's negative, and then add the two answers, or the two numbers.
It should be negative 89.
You said what?
Negative 89.
Yes, negative 89 is correct. So maybe you all want to write something down when you're adding two negative numbers together. Just add the numbers and make the answer negative.
How can you find negative 52 plus negative 37 without using a number line?
So I just went over this. You do 52 plus 37. And then make the result, I'm guessing, is going to be positive or negative. So the answer is going to be negative. Oh, look, I was right.
How can you find the sum of any two negative numbers?
Torian. Are you going to add or subtract their absolute values when you have two negative numbers?
Add.
Add, all right. Then are you going to make the result positive or negative?
Negative.
Correct.
Find the sums.
Leanna, what's 6 plus 7?
So what?
What is 6 plus 7?
12.
That's one under the answer. You got to go up one more.
Oh, my bad. 13.
13. All right. And then what is negative 6 plus negative 7?
Negative 13?
Yep, that's correct. Because they're both negative. So all you do is add them together and then make the answer negative. So good job.
How can you find negative 6 plus negative 7?
Marvelly, how can you find negative 6 plus negative 7?
The first one, I think. Yeah.
So this one, find 6 plus 7, then keep the result positive?
Oh, no, the second one.
Yeah.
Because it said making the result negative.
Yeah, that's correct. You add them together, and since they're both negatives, you got to make the result negative.
Yes.
What is 6 plus 7?
Camwan, what is 6 plus 7?
I'm doing my test.
Yeah, but you should still know what 6 plus 7 is.
Oh, it's 13.
Yeah, 13.
What is negative 6 plus negative 7?
All right, we'll go with Torian. What's negative 6 plus negative 7?
Negative 13.
All right. All right, Camwan, you're going to work on your reading tests in reading class or language arts class.
Find the sums.
It's not my reading test.
Oh, it's a different math lesson?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could have finished it last time we was in class. Or my
36 and negative 36.
All right. Whoever said that was correct. 36 and negative 36. So all you're doing is just adding these together. And then on the negative one, you put a negative sign on it.
How can you find negative 24 plus negative 12?
The second one.
On mine, it's not going to be the second one. On mine, it's going to be the third one. You add the two numbers together, and then you make the result negative because they're both negatives. It might be the second one on your computer.
Find 24 plus 12.
All right, Torian, don't call out on this one. Jameis Lee, what's 24 plus 12? Yes, 36. And
What is negative 24 plus negative 12?
Leanna, what's negative 24 plus negative 12?
You got me?
Yes, I called on you. What's negative 24 plus negative 12?
Wait. Um. Wow. Wait. Is it negative 37?
That was close. Negative 30 something, not 37. 30 is one number away from 37.
Oh, 36.
Yes, negative 36. So all we had to do was look up here. We already saw 24 plus 12 was 36. So all we had to do is take that 36 and just put a negative in front of it because it's the same two numbers, but they're both negative.
Find the sum.
David, what's negative 8 plus negative 40?
negative 48.
Yes.
How can you find the sum of any two negative numbers?
Torian. Add, you said?
Yeah,
And then make the result positive or negative.
negative.
Add the absolute values.
Camwan, what's 8 plus 40?
48.
Yes.
What is negative 8 plus negative 40?
Petit, what's negative 8 plus negative 40?
5 minus negative 4 equals 9.
Farge, what's negative 8 plus negative 40?
Is negative 48.
Yes. That's correct.
Find the sum.
Marbley, what's negative 250 plus negative 50?
Negative 300.
Yes.
Find the difference.
Let's try Torian, negative 9 minus 21.
Negative 30. No, negative 30.
That's correct. Negative 30. Even though we're not adding here, we're at negative 9, and then we're subtracting. So that's subtracting a positive is the same thing as adding a negative, which we went over last class.
Find the difference.
David, negative 74 minus 32.
Negative 106.
Yes, because we just add them together and keep the sign negative. All right, let's see what's coming up next.
What addition expression is shown on the number line?
Marbley, what addition expressions here?
So first is negative 23.
Oh, no, negative
I mean
10.
10, yeah. And then 23.
Yeah, positive 23. Yeah, because we start at 0 and we go backwards 10, so that's negative 10. Then we go forward 23, so we're adding positive 23.
That's correct. And you can also write it as negative 10 plus 23. Is the sum positive or negative?
Farge, is this sum, negative 10 plus 23, going to be positive, or is it going to be negative?
Positive?
Yeah, do you know why it's going to be positive?
Nope.
All right, I'll tell you what. Or does anybody else know why?
I know why.
All right, Torian. Or was that you? All right, why?
Yeah. Cause it's gonna be 13. You're going to the right.
Yes. So when you're at negative 10, you add 23, you go to the right, and you cross over 0. So that means you're going to end in the positives. But another way to think about it is when you add a positive and a negative, all you're going to do is subtract, and then whichever number is bigger, that's the sign. So since 23 is bigger than 10 and 23 is positive, that's why the answer is positive. All right, so this is a rule to help you when you're adding a positive and a negative. When adding a positive and a negative, do bigger number minus, dang, I can't, that's a minus symbol. So let's say bigger number minus smaller number and keep the sign of the bigger number. So you're gonna do 23 minus 10, and that's 13. And the 23 is bigger, so it's going to be positive.
Why is the sum positive even though there is a negative addend?
Jamesley, you know why the sum is positive? The arrow for 23 is longer, shorter, or the same size as the arrow for negative 10.
Nah.
Well, let's look at the lines. Is this arrow here, is it longer than this arrow? Is this one shorter than this arrow? Or is this one the same size as this arrow?
The one that is in the top is more longer.
Right, so the answer is going to be longer than.
How much longer is the arrow for 23 than the arrow for negative 10?
Torian.
13 is longer.
Yes, that's correct.
What positive number is 13 units from 0?
Torian, you can do this one again.
13.
Correct. So like I told you all over here,
The sum of negative 10 and 23 is 13.
do 23 minus 10 and keep the sign of the 23. So it's going to be positive 13.
Find 12 plus negative 19 by reasoning about the distance of the sum from 0. Is the sum positive or negative?
All right, Marbley, you can do this page for us. So is this going to be positive or negative?
That one is positive.
Well, which number is bigger, the 19 or the 12?
19.
Oh,
Oh,
is it going to be positive or negative?
negative.
All right, negative.
Why is the sum negative even though there is a positive addend?
All right, so Marbley, why is this negative?
Because the arrow for 19, negative 19 is longer than the arrow 12.
Yes, that's correct.
How much longer is the negative arrow than the positive arrow? Subtract the absolute values.
So Marbley, do you know this?
Yep, 7.
Yep.
The negative arrow is 7 units longer.
So Marbley,
What is the
what's
sum?
the answer?
Negative 7?
Yes. So if we use this rule over here, you do the bigger number, so the bigger number is 19, minus the smaller number, which is 12. So you do 19 minus 12, which is 7, and keep the sign of the bigger number. So since 19 is bigger and it's negative, our answer is going to be negative.
Find negative 35 plus 21.
All right.
How much longer is the negative arrow than the positive arrow? Choose the correct expression.
David, you can help us with this one.
$35 minus 21.
Yes, that's correct.
You can subtract the absolute values of the addends to find the difference in length. Subtract the absolute values.
All right. So David, what do you get when you do 35 minus 21?
I said,
I'll let you do the next problem after David finishes this whole one.
Me?
Yeah, David,
I think.
you can do this.
14.
Yeah, 14. All right.
The negative arrow is 14 units longer.
All right. So
What is the sum?
what's the answer?
Negative 14.
Yes, that's correct. So for people that aren't sure how he got that, you do the bigger number, which is 35, minus the smaller number, which is 21. That gives you 14. Then you keep the sign of the bigger number. So the bigger number was 35. It has a negative sign. So our answer is going to be negative.
Find negative 50 plus 20.
All right, Torian, you can.
How much longer is the negative arrow than the positive arrow? Choose the
Yeah, that's
correct
20.
expression.
50 subtract 20.
Yeah, 50 minus 20.
You can subtract the absolute values of the addends to find the difference in length. Subtract the absolute values.
30.
All right.
The negative arrow is 30 units longer. What is the sum?
Negative 30.
Yeah, negative 30. Because again, just follow the rules. Math is all about following rules. Bigger numbers, 50, minus smaller number, 20. That equals 30. And then keep the sign of the bigger number. The bigger number has a negative sign. So our answer is going to have a negative sign.
Find the sum.
All right, Farge, you're going to do this problem for us. Use the rule right here.
Dang. The answer should be negative 12.
Yes, negative 12. Because all we're going to do is
How can you find 18 plus negative 30 without using a number line?
so you do the bigger number minus the smaller number. So that's going to be 30 minus 18. So I bet that's one of the options here. Yep. Then keep the sign of the bigger number. The bigger number is 30 and it's negative. So make the result negative.
How can you find the sum of any two numbers with different signs?
Let's go with Marbley. You know this one?
By subtracting.
Yeah. Subtract their absolute values. Then use the sign of the add-in with the least or greatest absolute value.
Greatest.
Yes. So the bigger number means it has a greater absolute value. So when I said bigger number over here, I'm talking about the number with the greatest absolute value. It's the one that's furthest away from 0.
Find the sums.
All right, we'll try Leanna for this one.
Is 8 right?
Well, it would be 8 if it was 5 plus 3, but it's 5 plus negative 3. So you're basically doing 5 minus 3. So what's 5 minus 3?
5.
All right, hold on. We're going to follow our rules. So when you add a positive and a negative, so we got a positive and a negative, you do the bigger number minus the smaller number. So 5 minus 3 is 2. Then keep the sign of the bigger number. So since the 5 is the bigger number, this is going to be positive 2. Then for this one, same thing. You're adding a positive and a negative. So you do the bigger number, 5, minus the smaller number, 3, which is 2. Keep the sign of the bigger number. On this one, the bigger number is 5, so this is going to be negative 2.
Let's look at the first sum. Will 5 plus negative 3 have a positive or negative sum?
Queen Africa, will 5 plus negative 3 have a positive or negative sum? Positive, yes, because the 5 is bigger than the 3.
Find the sum.
So we just did this one up top. 5 plus negative 3 is 2. Because you do 5 minus 3, which is 2, and the 5 is bigger.
Let's look at the second sum. Will negative 5 plus 3 have a positive or negative sum?
David, will negative 5 plus 3 have a positive or negative sum?
Negative.
Why?
Because the 5 is greater than the 3,
And it's negative.
and the 5 is negative.
Perfect.
Find the sum.
All right, so David, what's this one?
That one is, wait, yeah, it's negative 2.
Correct. You just do 5 minus 3, which is 2. And since the 5 is bigger, you make it negative 2.
Find the sums.
Marbly, what are these two answers?
That one is negative 5.
All right.
And that one is 5, only 5.
Correct. Because both of them, you do 15 minus 10.
Yep.
And on the top one, the 15 is bigger, so it's negative. And on the second one, the 15 is bigger, so it's positive.
Find the sum.
Jamesley, what's negative 56 plus 16?
Is it negative 40?
Yes, because you do 56 minus 16, which is 40. And then the 56 is bigger and it's negative, so we got to make our answer negative.
All right.
How can you find the sum of two numbers with different signs?
All right, I'll do Torian on this one. So when they got two different signs, do you add or subtract? No, do bigger number minus smaller number. So you're going to subtract.
Oh, subtract.
Yeah. Then use the sign of the add-in with the least or greatest.
Greatest.
Yeah, greatest. The sign of the bigger number. So greatest.
Subtract the absolute values.
So we went over this up here. 56 minus 16 is 40. And since
What is the sum?
the 56 is bigger and it has a negative on it, our answer is negative 40. But we're almost done.
Find the sum.
Farge, What's negative 32 plus 67?
Sorry, my laptop had fell. What you said?
You said what?
My laptop had fell.
All right, but do you know, like, even if, let's say your laptop froze, if I verbally ask you negative 32 plus 67, are you able to solve that?
Yeah.
All right, so can you solve that and let me know what the answer is?
Alright. The answer is probably like 35.
Well, it's going to be negative 25. Oh, yeah, 35. My bad. You're right. You're right. Negative 35. I'm tripping. And you said positive 35. So, yes, you're correct because the 67 is bigger than the 32. So you just do 67 minus 32 and you get 35.
I'm doing my reflex math.
Find the difference.
Okay. All right. So on this one, we have to remember our rule from last class. Whenever you subtract a negative, that's the same thing as adding a positive. Because remember, when you have minus minus, you connect the symbols to make it a plus sign. So negative 8 plus 7. And Marbly, what's negative 8 plus 7?
-1.
Yes. So you all have to remember rules from previous lessons. They don't just go out the door when the day's over. You gotta like always remember it.
Find the difference.
David, what's the new equation gonna be? Negative 11 what?
-11 minus -5. I mean 54.
Yeah, but we need to change that so it's not minus minus. We only want one symbol. So what happens when you subtract the negative?
It's you add it.
Yeah, it becomes a plus sign. So plus
Yeah.
54. So now that we have just one symbol, it's a lot easier to solve. So do you know what negative 11 plus 54 is?
Wait. $65.
That would be if it was positive 11 plus 54. But remember, when you're adding a positive and a negative, bigger number minus smaller number, and then keep the sign of the bigger number.
All right. 43.
Yes, that's correct.